Hey folks, I'm Tennessee Brando, and you're watching MeidasTouch. And right now, the entire country is watching my home state of Tennessee. After 3 United States representatives led a peaceful protest in Nashville following another senseless shooting at the Covenant School, Gloria Johnson out of Knoxville, Justin Jones out of Nashville, and Justin Pearson out of Memphis led a peaceful protest in Nashville. And when that happened, Republicans moved real quickly to disciplinary action to have them expelled. I've said to several people as I've been watching the events unfold over the last couple of days that we're seeing the absolute best and the absolute worst out of Tennessee right now. The absolute best being Justin Pearson. I want you to take a listen to this speech that went viral when he's standing up defending himself. This, folks, is the best of Tennessee. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to show you the worst too. But let's start with the best. Let's take a look at what Justin Pearson had to say. Take a look.
Yes, I tell you, it was a sad day on Saturday. All hope seemed to be lost. Representatives were thrown out of the State House. Democracy seemed to be at its end. Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But oh, that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But oh, we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes. Resurrection is a promise, and it is a prophecy. It's a prophecy that came out of the cotton fields. It's a prophecy that came out of the lynching tree. It's a prophecy that still lives in each and every one of us in order to make the state of Tennessee the place that it ought to be. And so I've still got hope because I know we are still here and we will never quit.
Out of order. Out of order. Now, despite that very moving speech from Justin Pearson, that did not stop Republican lawmakers from pulling one of the most disgraceful stunts in our nation's history. They expelled both Justin Pearson and Justin Jones. The one that didn't get expelled was Gloria Johnson. Can anyone spot the difference? That's right, Republican lawmakers thought it would be a good idea to expel 2 black men. And they don't think that's going to backfire on them. They think they're going to get away with that. They think that people aren't going to take to the streets even harder. They think that people aren't going to go to the polls and vote even harder. You would think right now more than ever that Republicans would be trying to reach out and bring people in to their platform, but instead they double down harder and harder. And right here is what I was referring to, the worst of Tennessee. We saw the best. Now let's take a look at the worst. This is Andrew Farmer. Listen to how Andrew Farmer talks down to Justin Pearson. And I love what Justin Pearson said later. He said, who here would want to be talked to that way? Listen to how Andrew Farmer talks to Justin Pearson and tell me it's not one of the most disgraceful things, and that was allowed to happen in my home state. It's pretty disgusting, but hold your nose and watch it.
Here in this Tennessee General Assembly, that's why you're standing there, because of that temper tantrum that day, for that yearning to have attention. That's what you wanted, but you're getting it now. So I just advise you, if you want to conduct business in this house, file a bill. Be recognized, stand there and present it, and pass it. All you got to do is pass the bill.
Representative Pearson.
Now, you all heard that. How many of you would want to be spoken to that way? How many of you would want to be spoken to that way? We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about even gun violence. How many of you would want to be spoken to that way? The reason that I believe the sponsor of this legislation, of this resolution, spoke that way is because he's comfortable doing it. Because there's a decorum that allows it. There's a decorum that allows you to belittle people. We didn't belittle nobody.
Man, that's hard to watch. Every time I see the slightest clip of that replay, it just turns my stomach to see a good man get talked down to that way. But were y'all taking notes here? Because from my understanding, what he's saying is that if you are a lawmaker who shows up and peacefully protests with a bullhorn, then that's bad. But if you put bullhorns on your head, paint your face up, and take part in a violent insurrection, well, then MAGA Republicans will call for your release from now on. And that's one of the most despicable parts of this whole thing is people are actually comparing the protests that took place in Nashville. They're trying to compare that to January 6th. And it blows my mind. I want to point something out to somebody. I hate that I even have to go down this road and do this again. But the people on January 6th who showed up to protest did so because they could not accept the results of an election. What happened with the Tennessee Three when they led that protest in Nashville, they were leading a protest for the murder of our children. Now, I understand that there's always going to be different groups of people with different ideologies and different beliefs. I get that. But wouldn't you think that we would find common ground somewhere? And wouldn't you think that that common ground could be found with our children and with our children's safety in schools? Wouldn't you think that that would be the one time when everybody could come to have some common ground rather than try to always turn it into a gotcha moment? And when you do that kind of thing and say, oh, that's like January 6th. No, it was nothing like January 6th because there was no flags being waved. There was no pepper spray. There was no fire extinguishers. There was no police officers being beaten. No one died. There was no feces smeared on the wall. They weren't chanting to hang anybody. They were peacefully protesting. And now it's just more Republican projection upon us. Now it's just, oh, well, let's take this and turn it around on them. And when that happens, when you go for that political gotcha moment and you go for more of your projection, then more children die and nothing gets done. And that's why people are so upset about this whole thing. And folks, I can say this, as someone from Tennessee, there is a whole lot of historical baggage and there is a whole lot of negative stereotypes about the South that people like us have to get out from under. We have to learn, educate ourselves, be better, and do better. The MAGA Republican Party plays right into the hands of the worst of Tennessee, of the worst of the South. They play right into the hands of the negative stereotypes. They prey upon those things. But we had to learn over the years that a lot of things we were taught growing up just flat out wasn't true. We had to learn about our history. We had to learn to understand it and to accept it. Growing up in this part of the world, you get told things like, well, that wasn't about slavery. That was just our heritage. That was, we were just fighting for states' rights. And then one day you grow up and ask the question, states' rights to do what? And you find out it was to own a slave, and you find out you're right back to square one. So when you're from my part of the world, you spend a whole lot of time saying not all of us in Tennessee are that way. And I think I have proven that because we have Justin Pearson, Justin Jones, Gloria Johnson, and a whole lot of good people who are fighting the good fight and taking it to these Republican lawmakers. But if these Republican lawmakers think that this is actually going to work in their favor, I'm pretty sure they've lost their mind on this one. Because you would think right now more than ever they would be trying to connect with young voters, that they would be trying to reel in Gen Z, and instead they're pushing them away. They chose to expel 2 black men instead of standing up for our children. They chose their guns over our children. That's what they're clinging to. They're clinging to their guns. They can't let go of that. They're going to say out loud, we're not going to fix it. We're not going to do nothing about it. And they're saying that more and more. And people like us are standing up and protesting and fighting against it. And now they're just going to turn and they're going to project everything back on us. This is just another desperate move on their part to try to paint us as the villains and to try to validate everything that their side ever did. But it's going to work against them. Because not only is Gen Z going to be voting against them, not only is the younger generation voting against them, and anyone with half a brain or any common sense at all is going to be voting against them. But imagine this, the children who are survivors of these mass shootings, what are they going to do when they grow up and they look back on this time and they say, hey, I went to school every day scared out of my mind, and these lawmakers voted to expel 2 black men rather than keep guns out of the hands of the people that was trying to take a shot at us. So if they thought this was going to work in their favor, I think they're going to learn down the road that they're slowly burying their party. And I don't understand it. You would think they would want to reel in people and maybe, like I said earlier, they would want to find common ground, especially when it comes to children, but they don't. They're doubling down harder than ever. So to the folks outside of Tennessee that are watching this story and watching it unfold, and as we go forward, just always remember what I said. When you get mad, and it's so easy to do, trust me, we're all mad. We're just as mad as you are. We are mad at the fascism in our state. We want to vote the fascism in our state out of office. And we want to stand behind the likes of the Tennessee Three. But when you get mad and you just go, man, I'm never going to stop in Tennessee again. I never want to hear about that state again. Remember, there's people like Gloria Johnson. There's people like Justin Jones. There's people like Justin Pearson. And they're fighting the good fight. So this story is going to keep evolving, I'm sure. But we're going to look back on this as one of the darkest times, definitely in my state's history and our country's history. But I have a really good feeling that people like us here at MeidasTouch, people like the Tennessee Three, we're going to be on the right side of history, and I say that with all the confidence in the world. So, guys, thank you for watching this one. This was kind of a hard one to make for me because being from here and seeing the best and the worst, it's been an emotional roller coaster. It truly has. And so I hope I did it justice. And to all you good people here in Tennessee, let's stick together and let's vote their asses out because there's no reasoning with them. We've learned that. So until next time, guys, keep tuning in on MeidasTouch. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, share it, let everyone know where we're at. And until the next time, I'm Tennessee Brando. You all tune in. I'll keep telling you the truth.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.